There is a common musical piece flowing from the various cultural displays you have just seen. Did you observe that? It is this member of the woodwind musical instrument shaped like a thin pipe, the flute. Flutes are said to have been found earlier than 4000 BC, as they were made of bones, hooves, horns, reeds, wood, and other natural substances. The word flute comes from the Latin word flutus, meaning breath. It is played by blowing across a hole on one end and plugging certain holes in the body to modify pitch and produce that melodious tune you so much enjoy. In Nigeria, almost all the traditional musical offers have the coloration of the flute. From the north, you have the serewa, the kakakis as the popular ones, sounding off at various gatherings, be it coronations and other forms of festivities. Some communities in the north central have the guido, the mwai, to mention but a few. Moving down south, a stop at the Opela community gives a glimpse of the ofere to accompany their drums and dances, which is found to be similar in structure and sometimes with that of the southeastern people of Nigeria, the Igbos. Every Nigerian culture seems to have its own attraction with the flute. But what is the place of the flute in traditional display?
Yes, like the swangy. Without this flute, there's no swangy. The place of a flutist is a historian. He's an artist. And the flute itself inspires, because even if you hear the melody from this flute, it's sweet. So it spurs you either to dance or to come and show appreciation.
There is always a message with the flute. The flute stands off to cue the dancers and drummers. The make of some of the flute is another interesting story.
This is wood, purely wood, carved. Mostly the carvers carved this. This one is the main guido. This is the peak. What you see here is the peak, made from brass. But the main instrument of guido is the reed. The bush you see here is the reed. And this, without this reed, everything here is useless. Whatever you see here is useless, because this is the reed gotten from the riverside, a special bush known only to trumpeters. If you go to the water side, I thought I go and show you that this is the reed. You will see it and just read it.
President Buhari optimistic that dairy farming initiative will curb farmer-herder conflicts.
The joint committee has sat and has deliberated to adopt the 143 billion as presented by Mr. President.
National Assembly Joint Committee on INEC adopts 143 billion naira as supplementary budget for 2019 general elections.
Freedom and the principles of democratic accountability are strengthening the determination of Africans.
Invest in education, Ghanaian president tells African countries at annual general conference of the Nigerian Bar Association.
We need to mobilize every sector of the society that would empower our girls, our women, our young people to take the lead.
United Nations takes stronger action on sustainable development goals as World Water Week opens. Good evening, a warm welcome to NTA Network News, live from Abuja, Nigeria. I am Sheung Olagunju. Reading with me tonight is Dr. Okunyemi from Lagos, and Asmao Habibu Shagari will join us from Sokoto in the course of the bulletin as well. Thank you for joining us. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed optimism that if the dairy farming initiative being championed by Denmark and the government of Kaduna State can be replicated across Nigeria, the farmer-herder conflicts will be curbed effectively. This was while granting audience to the outgoing Danish ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Tobin Getterman, who paid him a farewell visit. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari is convinced that when dairy farms become economically viable, the herders will realize its productive considerations and stay in one place. This, he said, will save the country from the perennial problem of clashes between farmers and herders made worse by population explosion. Explaining the concept of dairy farming, Ambassador Getterman said the plan is to have 1,000 families of herdsmen with 12,000 heads of cattle in one location. That small community, he said, will have the required veterinary services, schools for children, and a Danish company will buy off the milk. Dairy farming, the envoy explained, is commercially viable as it yields better meat, saying, however, that it is not exactly the same thing as ranching. Ambassador Getterman, who spent 4 years in Nigeria, is proceeding on retirement after 40 years in the service of his country. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, in collaboration with the federal government, has taken a step in mitigating the effects of insurgency and conflicts on livestock husbandry and value chains for the Nigerian system. This intervention is coming as the FAO is training livestock experts in Nigeria on guidelines to ensure high standards in livestock-based emergency responses. Justin Bem Unyi reports.
Reports from the CBN indicate that animal production, projected to become the most important in terms of value addition by 2020, presently accounts for 1/3 of Nigeria's agriculture GDP. And livestock rearing, a major livelihood in most parts of Nigeria, particularly in the north, which houses an estimated 70% of all ruminants and about 80% of the nation's cattle, is also a focus in the report. However, the potential promises of the subsector have come under serious threat in recent times, subject to an unprecedented range of challenges like climate-related shocks. Consequently, the Livestock Emergency Guidelines and Standard Training are a set of international guidelines and standards for the design, implementation, and assessment of livestock interventions.
Assisting in the identification of the most appropriate livestock interventions in emergencies and providing standards, indicators, and guidance notes.
Simply put, participants will learn how to, 1, provide immediate and urgently needed benefits.
FAO believes that timely and appropriate livestock interventions are key to boosting resilience and freeing households from dependence on food distributions and other forms of assistance. The workshop underway in Abuja is a 5-day program. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
To the National Assembly now, where the Joint Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission has adopted 143.5 billion naira as supplementary budget for the 2019 general elections, as submitted by President Muhammadu Buhari. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo reports.
Happiness and prosperity of Nigeria, amen.
The National Assembly Joint Committee on INEC has held 3 meetings before this one, all on the consideration of the 2019 general election budget. At the first meeting, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu presented 189.2 billion naira, same amount requested by President Muhammadu Buhari. Mr. President requested that 143.5 billion naira be considered in the 2018 supplementary budget and the remaining 45.6 billion to come in the 2019 budget. However, INEC prayed that it would have loved that all the amounts be considered in the 2018 supplementary budget in view of the exigencies of election matters. And that has been a major challenge for the committee. After a closed-door session at this meeting, the committee decided on the amounts to be approved.
The Joint Committee has sat and has deliberated the position to adopt the 143 billion as presented by Mr. President. And at this point in time, it is also the wish of this committee that INEC represent their budget of 143 as requested by Mr. President. So therefore, INEC has an opportunity to reprioritize, and this committee will be ready to receive their report.
The committee explained that the remaining 45.6 billion naira will have to come thereafter, as proposed by Mr. President from the National Assembly. Nations, NTA News.
Now, the United Nations is calling for stronger collective drive to ensure the actualization of all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, by countries of the world. The United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Nigeria's Amina Mohammed, was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 28th World Water Week in Stockholm, Sweden. Musbao Danwahab reports.
The global water family gathers here once again, searching for how to ensure life for all, since it is already established and agreed upon that water is life. And with the theme, water, ecosystems and human development, they are also concerned about good atmosphere for the lives to live in. In that quest, the unfavorable statistics in water and sanitation sector, they say, must be overturned, and fast too. United Nations Secretary General Amina Mohammed commends the quest for nature-based solution to the common challenge. The former Nigeria's Minister of Environment cited the shrinking Lake Chad and the oil spill pollution in Niger Delta, Nigeria, as examples of water management challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, funding our common ground is really important and key. It's a collective responsibility to do it right, and it's essential that we try to do this. We need to mobilize every sector of the society that would empower our girls, our women, our young people to take the lead.
We need to pay far more attention to our water resources and realize that the past is no longer a good guide to the future.
I hope that this week will help the global community to get closer to the goal of a sustainable world.
This theme is very relevant to us in Nigeria when you consider our human activities with regards to the water bodies in Nigeria. You will know that a lot of our waters are highly polluted as a result of human activities. And this is exactly what we are here to find common solutions.
Two professors, Bruce Rickman and Mark Van Ludrecht, were named the 2018 Stockholm Water Prize laureate for revolutionizing water and wastewater treatment. From Stockholm, Sweden, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Still on provision of water, the Buhari administration has been commended for honouring its promise that no part of the country will suffer any neglect because of its geographical location. This was at the inauguration of the reconstruction of the Maska Earth Dam in Funtua local government area of Katsina State by the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu. Dennis Adegunloye reports.
The Maska Earth Dam, one of the many ecological intervention projects across the 6 geopolitical zones by the federal government, is expected to address the decay and degradation of the dam that provides water for agricultural and other purposes for the surrounding communities. The project is being executed through the Ecological Fund Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Beneficiaries of the project thanked President Muhammadu Buhari and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, for the commitment shown to reviving the dam.
You can see that this is a very, very agrarian environment. People here, keep farming all year round. So this dam will help to keep them busy during the dry season. So there is a lot of impact, economic impact.
The Minister of Water Resources urged them to ensure proper use and management of the dam. In Katsina, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, has spoken of the need for African countries to invest more in the education of their citizens as one of the surest ways of strengthening their institutions of government. He stated this at the annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, where he was the keynote speaker. Femi Okeowo reports.
Speaking on the theme of the conference, which is Transition, Transformation and Sustainable Institutions, President Nana Akufo-Addo said while it may not be right to dictate solutions to various countries' problems, education has been proved to be a problem solver regardless of locations. He said now that African countries are all united in their quest to strengthen their political, economic, social and security institutions, a policy of mass education for their citizenry should be a veritable starting point.
Freedom and the principles of democratic accountability are strengthening the determination of Africans to build a new Africa that is neither pawn nor victim of the global order.
On the clamor for the rule of law, he called on the government and lawyers in particular to instill in their citizenry the need to embrace liberty and duty as behaviors that must go together.
This can be Africa's century. We can claim it if we believe in ourselves. It is time to hear the voice of the lawyers. It is time to feel their presence, not by dragging on cases interminably and using technical ruses to make gains.
Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, after the address, engaged in a conversation with the Ghanaian president on areas of mutual benefit between Nigeria and Ghana and as it relates to their interactions with industrialized countries. The 2018 Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association is the 58th edition of the conference. Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Time for a breather now, and up ahead, UK Prime Minister Theresa May to visit Nigeria. Stay with us.
Bayes University is a fully licensed university operating since 2011 and has grown to have 32 accredited programs in 6 faculties. This includes computer and applied sciences, management and social sciences, engineering, mental sciences, law, and basic medical sciences. The university also offers postgraduate programs and foundation courses in a conducive learning environment with modern teaching facilities and high-quality national and international staff. Bayes University graduates have either progressed into respectable career positions or have obtained postgraduate degrees from different parts of the world with distinctions. Admissions for 2018-2019 academic session is ongoing. Call or visit www.bayesuniversity.edu.ng. Bayes University, Abuja. Learn to live.
Helen!
Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now?
Sure.
This gets just 1.
It is clean.
But not perfect 10.
Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible.
Challenge? Try the new Apic 10X. Compared to bleach and detergent, Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow.
Now you also take that
Apic 10X challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack.
The tastiest blue band with vitamins A, D, E, B6, B12, folic acid, and niacin. So important for kids' growth and development.
You can tell they're from a blue band home.
Spread every slice and give your kids the vitamins they need.
Don't you? 3 Crowns Milk is low in cholesterol and endorsed by the Nigerian Heart Foundation.
3 Crowns Milk. Healthy moms, happy families.
Everybody dance now.
What? Louder. We are the strongest. No challenge can stop us. Oh Lord, and we are the brightest. No darkness can blind us. We are the strongest.
Everybody
Let Malta goodness fuel your greatness. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the daring and invincible Louis the Mosquito. Responsible for 200 malaria cases all on its own. Is there anything that can kill Louis? Morphine! Presenting Mortise Power Guard. Its powerful formula kills malaria mosquitoes fast. So, get Mortise Power Guard.
The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Board, Director General, and Management of National Broadcasting Commission hereby invites all stakeholders in the broadcasting industry in Nigeria to her 4th annual lecture, scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Thursday, 30th August, 2018. Venue, Congress Hall, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. prompt. Theme, Broadcasting and Nigeria's Ethno-Cultural and Religious Divide, Bridging the Gap. Guest speaker, Professor Ibrahim Agbola Gambari, a distinguished Nigerian scholar, diplomat, author, and founder, and chairman of the Board of Directors of Savannah Center for Diplomacy, Democracy, and Development. Chief host, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Honorable Minister of Information and Culture. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Alhaji Kashim Shatima, the Executive Governor of Borno State. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Management announcer.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant to achieve our creed as we promise. We shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Thanks for staying with us on the Network News. As against geographical restructuring, prudent management of national resources and providing for the people properly are better for Nigeria's development challenges, so said Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at a town hall meeting with Nigerians in Minnesota, the United States of America, on Sunday. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Media and Publicity, Laolu Akonde, indicated that Osinbajo addressed issues on the economy, anti-corruption, health and agriculture. He explained that the Buhari-led administration has put in place an economic structure able to function properly despite previous challenges. On recovered funds, the Vice President said government is committed to a transparent use of the funds in providing infrastructure. Nigeria's ambassador to the U.S., Mr. Sylvanus Nsofo, led other Nigerians within and outside the state of Minnesota to the meeting held in Minneapolis. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has since returned home. Now, British Prime Minister Theresa May is expected to visit Africa for the first time since becoming Prime Minister in 2016. Mrs. May will visit South Africa on Tuesday before Nigeria and Kenya as part of a trade mission aimed at boosting post-Brexit fortunes and strengthening its global partnerships. Security issues will also feature on her agenda as she is expected to discuss the threat of Boko Haram in Nigeria and the role of British troops based in Kenya helping countries fight al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. Mrs. May will be accompanied by the three Commonwealth countries by a 29-man business delegation and would meet President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja on Wednesday before meeting victims of modern-day slavery. In an effort to alleviate the sufferings of widows and give them a sense of belonging, the Cross River State Government has offered appointments to over 200 widows across the state. Governor Ben Ayade announced this while interacting with widows drawn from the 18 local government areas of the state. Uduak Etim has the details.
The decision by the Cross River State Government to offer appointments to widows is aimed at reducing the hardship faced by them. Governor Ayade hinted that the widows living in rural areas would be employed in the local government councils, while those residing in Calabar, the state capital, will get jobs at the state level.
The real essence of coming to government is bringing value and putting food on the table. If that is the case, then I should focus more on those people who have challenging circumstances. But what is most important is great job so that they can be food on the table.
Commissioner for Women Affairs, Stella Ode, appreciated Governor Ayade for the gesture, which she said will go a long way to change the economic fortunes of the widows.
You have indeed wiped off tears from the faces of the widows and women alike in Cross River State. You have empowered thousands of women since you came into power. You have made counterpart donations, counterpart funds into financial institutions for women.
The event was attended by women, particularly widows across the states. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
To politics now, chairmen of various political parties in Borno State have endorsed President Muhammadu Buhari as their 2019 general elections consensus candidate for the presidential race. This was when they called on a former governor of the state, Senator Alimodu Sharif, at his residence in Maiduguri. Abubakar Muhammad Musa reports that about 56 political parties pledged their loyalty to the president.
Leader of the delegation, who is also Borno State Chairman Labour Party, Mamman Bukar, says the various political parties deemed it imperative to consult former Governor of Borno State, Senator Alimodu Sharif, for the endorsement of President Muhammadu Buhari. Being an ardent supporter of the president, they identified the giant strides recorded by the Buhari administration across the country, especially in critical areas such as the restoration of relative peace to the northeast, the fight against corruption, as well as appointing illustrious sons and daughters of Borno in key positions at the national level, among others. While assuring to deliver their messages to the president, Senator Alimodu Sharif, however, told leaders of the political parties that he would work assiduously towards the overall success of the Buhari administration at the polls, considering his passion for the people of Borno.
The support they gave to President Buhari, it has encouraged me because Buhari has done what he has to people of Borno State, what he has not done to any state in Nigeria. Therefore, we have no reason whatsoever not to give him votes that will support him for 2019.
Other speakers described President Muhammadu Buhari as a man of proven integrity and affirmed their unalloyed support and solidarity to him. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Muhammad Musa, NTA News.
In the same vein, the Imo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has pledged its support to the re-election bid of President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2019 general elections. This was the consensus of the party's members at a stakeholders meeting in Owerri, Imo State. Aliu Tuko reports.
These are the voices of the members of the All Progressives Congress, Imo State chapter, endorsing the re-election bid of President Buhari in the upcoming 2019 election. This decision, according to the convener, Senator Hope Uzodimma, who related more directly to the people in the local dialect, was informed by the fact that Nigeria, in the past 3 years of the APC-led administration, has witnessed rapid transformation in all sectors, from infrastructure to security, economy, the fight against corruption, and many more. To consolidate this veritable scorecard of the Buhari administration, party members say there is need to support the re-election of President Buhari for his second term in office.
And every polling unit with a minimum of 50 to 60 membership. I want 100 or 50 or 60 or 100 membership. We can win our election without other parties.
The party urged its members to ensure that they have their permanent voters card that will make them eligible voters to bring President Buhari back. Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress has described a statement by the People's Democratic Party challenging the Muhammadu Buhari-led APC to a debate as laughable. A statement by the acting National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Yekini Nabena, said the call for a debate on good governance by the PDP is a reminder of its 16 years of wreck on Nigeria. He said one of the many reasons Nigerians unanimously voted out PDP in the 2015 general elections is impunity, institutionalized corruption, diversion of counterinsurgency funds to political cronies and political activities. Yekini Nabena said a party whose administration placed the economy on life support because of recklessness cannot be in a position to debate on good governance. Now, the presidency says it is aware of an audio recording purported to be the voice of Leah Sharibu, the lone Dapchi schoolgirl still in Boko Haram captivity. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, says in his Twitter handle that the Secret Service is analyzing the audio. Formal government reaction, he explains, will follow the outcome of the investigation. Garba Shehu says President Muhammadu Buhari will spare no effort to ensure that all the girls in Boko Haram captivity are freed. He emphasizes that in dealing with terrorists, nothing is too trivial. Time now to join Dotun Ogunyemi in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Dotun. It's over to you.
Thank you, Sheung, for joining us in Lagos. Media practitioners in Nigeria have been advised to shun fake news as the country approaches 2019 general elections. This was the views of speakers at the National Broadcasting Commission interactive session with stakeholders in Lagos. Diana Ajele's report is presented in our studios. To you in our subsequent bulletin. Nigeria is set to partner with the British Museum in London for the preservation and conservation of cultural artifacts and objects of Nigerian origin. This was disclosed by the Director, British Museum, Hartwig Fisher, during a facility tour of the National Commissions for Museums and Monuments, Onikon, Lagos. Elizabeth Omori reports.
Of the Director, British Museum, the management of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments says is apt following efforts by the federal government to reposition activities at the museums across the country for posterity. The Director, British Museum, who was impressed by the priceless pieces, speaks on the proposed collaboration.
And it's wonderful to see the collections, to see the museum, to meet colleagues and hear about their projects and learn from them and see how this museum presents its collections and the stories it tells about the Nigerian nation.
Acting Director General of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, while commending the efforts of the British government, stated that such collaborative effort will assist in preventing extinction of cultures and traditions.
One of the reasons why they have actually visited is to look at our facilities and see which of them are decaying and which of them needs to be uplifted in terms of standard and grade. And then they will not help us either by way of funding or bringing it
to assist in projecting Nigeria's rich heritage to the world and by extension build a stronger diplomatic ties between Nigeria and the British government. In Lagos, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
We now go back to our earlier report where media practitioners in Nigeria have been advised to shun fake news as the country approaches 2019 general elections. This was the view of speakers at the National Broadcasting Commission interactive session with stakeholders in Lagos. Diana Ajele's report is presented in our studios.
The interactive session, organized by the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, provided a platform for stakeholders and board of directors of the commission to deliberate on the challenges confronting the industry.
I want to appeal to all those that are owing. It's statutory.
Broadcasters have basic responsibility to our dear country. as defined by the terms of their license. Therefore, the current phenomenon of hate speech, fake news, and all other unprofessional manners of broadcasting should be avoided.
Malam Ishak Modibo said journalists must be mindful of what they put on air.
It's difficult for NBC to operate, but above all else, the fact that people have just refused to meet basic obligations to the Commission as defined by the Act setting up the establishment.
The DG also said several stations are owing the Commission over 4 billion naira, stating that such stations will be shut down if such payments are not made on or before 15th of September 2018 so as not to compromise national interest. Some stakeholders expressed their views on the session.
Stakeholders from time to time should come together and rub minds with the regulatory body, get to know if they are doing it right or not. And the regulator will not tell them their new drive.
The NBC meeting had in attendance delegates from across the country.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports ahead after this timeout. Please stay with us.
The value pack. Helen!
You do great value shopping.
Absolutely. I'm a champion at getting value.
Then you must have bought the Harpic 200 ml.
Why Harpic when I have
this? Even after applying them 10 times, they won't give a sparkling clean toilet.
Impossible.
Challenge. Detergent and bleach can't give a sparkling clean toilet even after 10 times. But Harpic 200 ml gives a sparkling clean toilet at one go.
Wow.
Harpic 200 ml. Real deal.